Alright, in this lesson we'll explore the inplace parameter, which is actually available on a multitude of methods within pandas. And what the inplace parameter does when set to true is overwrite the object in the original variable. It basically overwrites the original variable to contain the new modified object that we have. So let's begin by re-importing our CSV files. And before I dive into the inplace parameter, I just want to show you the old school way that we can perform the exact same operation. So if I take a look at my first three rows of Google right here, we can see that they are in the order in which they are in the CSV. We can tell by the general numeric index to the left, starting at 0, then going to 1, and then to 2. If I want to sort the values, let's do google.sortValues. And here we're going to have our new series where the values are sorted in ascending order. So the smallest ones are going to show up at the top, and the biggest ones are going to show up at the bottom. This is returning a brand new series. So if I want to overwrite what's currently being stored in Google, all I have to do is assign it back to Google. And this syntax was especially confusing to me when I was starting out with programming, but it's pretty simple when you realize that whatever occurs on the right side of the equal sign always happens first. So when we begin this operation on the right, we have this Google, which is currently storing the CSV series as it's imported. We're then calling the sort values method on top of that to get a brand new series where the values are sorted. And that's the end of the line. That's the final operation on the right, that sorted series. Now we're getting that object back, and we're basically, think of it as not even overwriting, which is really what it's doing, but just reassigning the Google variable to now point to this sorted series. Remember, what the right side is giving us back is not just Google, but a series that is then sorted, which is basically a brand new series. And we're just taking our Google variable and assigning it or pointing it to that brand new series. So this code is going to work, and if I take a look at Google, now it's going to be the sorted series that we just performed. It's overwritten the Google variable. And that's one way to do it. That's in many ways the traditional programming way to do it. But there's also the inplace parameter, which I prefer because I think it's a little bit more elegant. It keeps everything within the method call. It keeps everything within pandas. So I think it's generally the better way to go. Now, and it's also something that's available on many different methods. So you learn this one parameter, you can use it on a multitude of different methods. However, if you ever find that the inplace parameter is missing, this is the other way to go. This is the traditional way to go. So I just wanted to make sure you know that way as well before we start using the inplace parameter constantly. So here we have what Google currently looks like with the first three rows, and it's sorted in ascending order. Let's sort Google in descending order. So once again, I'm going to do google.sortValues, but this time I'm going to use that ascending parameter, and I'm going to set it equal to false. Let's take a look here. So there we have our sorted Google series, but now it's sorted in descending order. Now again, simply calling the sort values method on Google does not overwrite the original series in that variable. So if I re-execute this head method, we can see that my top three rows have not changed. They're still their original order, which was my first sort operation. This second sort operation that kicks off with $782.22 has not actually become the Google series. If we want to overwrite it and not use the equal sign to assign back to Google, there is an available in-place parameter. You can see that it's set to false by default. And when we set it to true, that tells Python and pandas to overwrite the existing series that's stored in Google. So now when we execute this, we're not going to get any preview below. But now if I take a look at the first three rows of Google, and I in fact don't even have to write this in a sub below, I can just execute this. But just to give you a comparison, now you can see that Google is now storing that second sorted series, the one where the values are in descending order. And the reason for that is because we included that true argument to the inplace parameter, which overwrites the series that's stored in Google. So here we have how it was just a second ago. And after we called the sort values method with the inplace parameter, now this is what it looks like currently. This is the top three rows. You can see that the highest values show up first. That's because of the ascending equals false. And you can see that this is actually the top three rows of what Google is currently in its current state, because we did use that in-place parameter in order to permanently modify the Google variable to store our new sorted modified series. So that's just the in-place parameter, and we'll have plenty of practice with it along the way. So far, we've practiced how to sort the values of a series, and in the next lesson, we'll dive into how to sort the index of a series.